Hey there, my grizzly incandescents. Quinto Epic here today. I thought, why not talk about someone that's kind of hard to find lore vids about? I was thinking about going over Solaire of Just Kidding Saint Urbain from Demon Souls, and what I would call the OG Sunbro from the point that Solaire wasn't around during this game's release. Let's start from the top. Who is Saint Urbain? Well, he's a saint, or probably a misspoken thing in the trailer of the game, and by a disciple of God, who is kind of the guy that is there before Urbain moves in and fills a miracle role. He also calls him a sage. He is a high-ranking member of the Church of God. Yes, that's right. While it may not be the God me and you know, in Demon Souls they actually refer to their God as God, which is kind of unheard of in their other games, where they will have other names such as Lord Gwyn, etc. Even though they were gods, they were not called that, but often referred to by their actual names. You find and save him by a trick Patches pulls on him by, yes, you guessed it, kicking him into a pit. You actually find that out by the disciple of God in this voice line.
Do you seek the power of God?
Do you know Saint Urbain?
Saint Urbain?
Saint Urbain is a true sage.
Is a true sage.
He can hear the
voice of God.
But that despondent disciple
over there,
he is referring to the Acolyte of God, a male follower of God and Saint Urbain. The male follower of God over there claims that he has fallen into a trap behind the altar.
And now I have run away and abandoned his augustness.
I hate to think that such misfortune could have befallen so eminent a man. We intend to leave shortly for the altar to rescue Saint Urbain. And that is the last time you see that guy. The next time you come back, Saint Urbain has taken his spot. Not only do they follow God, though they also follow their king, King Acolyte. With the words from the female worship of God, she believes they are being punished for not showing proper respect to him in your first talk with her.
Has God abandoned us for King Acolyte, failing to show proper respect?
To show how well revered and powerful Urbain is, he had the talisman of God in front of him he prays to. You can't take it, but it said he could talk to the God through it. That could also be why Saint Urbain went on his pilgrimage, to rid the world of demons, for he isn't a fighter, he's just a cleric, and was doing it not just for God, but his king as well. If you are of good standing, and also a miracle user, he is strong enough to convert a demon soul to a miracle, which is nothing short of a feat in itself. The priests of God believe that magic users are to blame for not only the acolytes, saying that they stay clear of them. By Urbain's words, after he appears at the Nexus, he says this: If you are truly a disciple, then you must have a talisman in God's image. Heavenly miracles occur in Astraea through the talismans. God has granted this accursed land with a special power. It is God's way of telling us we must stand up to the demons. After the dark arts spread across the land, holy miracles were witnessed once again. That rhymed. The will of God is clear. We must defeat the demons, annul the curse of Astraea, and purge the evil magicians who manipulate those accursed souls. Showing that they do not trust magic, which seems to be a going theme in almost all their games, where the miracle users will say that mages are evil, that sorcery is bad, and you are a bad person if you use sorcery. But what I think puts Saint Urbain over his followers is he knows King Acolyte has fallen. Due to this line, King Acolyte was overcome by a lust for such power and has placed Astraea in her present predicament. Old Freak and the Cattle Maiden are no exception. He lists not only Sage Freak, the sorcery trainer, but even your Demon Souls Maiden / Firekeeper, the Candle Maiden, showing that even if they may have not meant it, or their intentions now is pure, he has an undying faith for what he believes in. Which brings us to someone else who is supposed to be even purer than him, that he says so himself. Saint Astraea, or should I say, her knight. In this line said by him, he says, I am not sure, but Saint Astraea of the West was accompanied by the knight girl Vinland. She would never turn evil with the upstanding knight to guide her. Surely it is mere slander. Sadly, the weak are prone to such backstabbing. He says how Girl Vinland is an upstanding knight. Compared to Saint Urbain, that he's able to say that about him shows how good of a man Girl Vinland was. But he didn't sound good when he talked about Astraea. Just to give a little backstory, since this is not about her, Saint, or, in quotations marks, Astraea, the maiden. She was the sixth saint of the Church of God, and when Saint Urbain refers to her as weak, that means even though she was the purest of heart, he must have known she would be devoured by doubt and darkness, and was hoping Garl Vinland would keep that from happening and not leave her side. While one of those things were right, sadly the other was not. I'll give you a hint, it wasn't the first one. Her bio says she's a pure soul that went into the valley of defilement to help the wretched and the suffering who dwell there with her guard, Garl Vinland, but since then have never been seen again. But they were not the only ones who vanished in the valley of defilement, which Saint Urbain also knows of. He lists them off as well, that there were other honorable knights. The Moonlight Knight, Astraea of Astraea, and Celine Vinland. The Moonlight Knight wielded the very well-known Moonlight Greatsword, which was said to be a revelation from God, and either entered when it was told that Astraea was a demon by the church, or ventured there with her when she started her pilgrimage. All we know for a fact that they did die there. When you venture in, you can find the sword next to a legendary hero soul, and a slug that swallowed golden armor, which could also infer that the Moonlight Knight, which was named Vito, was a female knight. The second knight, Astraea, also suffered the same fate, and it's not known if they went with Astraea at the start of her mission or went to kill her when word of her being a demon reached the church. Also, they would have a weapon that was a revelation of God as well, but you could find their corpse by 3 giant depraved ones along with their weapon. Man. Well, what about the final knight? Celine Vinland. Well, she's alive. Yes, she is alive. And she's got some news to tell you, chat. And you better believe it. It is something. Whew. First off, let's just get on with it. She is the older sister of Knight Garl Vinland. But while trapped in the Valley of Defilement, she found out its purpose. Are you ready, kids? I don't think you are. It's a dumping ground for aborted babies. Yeah. But there's something she says once you give her her brother's crest after you kill her brother. Mbasa. Where have I heard that before? Oh yes, from every worshipper of God. They would say that, which I looked up, and I could be wrong, but it is their way of saying, God be with you. So even knowing her brother died, knowing that she's standing in a pretty much a aborted baby garbage can, and knowing that all of her friends are dead, she did not abandon her God. For she said Mbasa. Meaning she still has faith. If you kill her, you get minus on your good bar. You're not a goody-goody tissue anymore. Why would I go into this, though? From what Urbain said, he believed that Astraea to be weak. And in that sense, he was right. She found out what the place was, what actually happened, and decided to take a demon soul into her pure soul, making her unholy. Garl, of course, would not leave her side, because that was his duty to protect her, and he may have been the ultimate simp. Maybe he thought I could fix her. I don't know. He then finished the line from earlier with this. The vicious rumors about Astraea offend our most basic sense of our respect for God's name. However, none of these great knights have made it back. Could it be that the wretched valley is so infested with grime that even our Lord's voice does not resonate there? Or perhaps it is the fate of those left behind by God. He believes them all to have betrayed God, and their mission, which we all really know, only Astraea and Garl did such a thing, while Celine still says Mbasa, and the other two perished, which I would also think they were doing their mission and was not veering from the path that they were set on. Whenever you leave him, after learning a miracle, he will also say, God bless this brave warrior. Mbasa. If you leave without learning a miracle, he will warn you about the evil of the demon soul. One of his last words of dialogue is when you kill all the archdemons and you can fight the old one. From where does that howl
come? That is no demon. It sounds more like a poor, hungry child. Do you have any idea what it might be? Something about it puts me at great unease. May God watch over us, bless us, and all of Boletaria. Mbassa.
Now, what if I told you the Old One is God? That's right. If you read the Talisman of the Beast, it does suggest that the Old One is in fact the true form of their god that is worshipped by Urbain and his followers, which would also mean their miracles and prayers are answered by the one who started this with making the demons in the first place. But there is another theory in the words spoken by King Acolyte. He says the Old One is a creation of God as an act of mercy for what they have done. But maybe that was him not wanting to believe that the Old One is the actual God that they have been praying to. I think after the game has been wrapped up, if you chose a good ending, the Acolytes of St. Urbain returned to the church, not knowing that they could have been praying to all along the thing that they wanted to destroy. But it doesn't really tell you what happens. You just have to think what they would be doing. And honestly, I only could see them actually going back to their church or doing a pilgrimage now that the world is quote-unquote cured or healed. Just a little fun little bit before I go. I want you to listen to this. It's a line from the female acolyte of St. Urbain.
Thank goodness. The Lord has not forgotten me yet. For he has allowed me into the presence of St. Urbain. I shall serve him and pray with him, and thus express my faith in God, Mbassa.
She doesn't thank God, saying she will serve him, serve God, but instead she thanks God for letting her stay by St. Urbain's side, and that she seems deeply infatuated with him as a follower and a woman. That is even covered by her next line after killing the old hero.
I plan to bequeath all my possessions to St. Urbain. My grandfather's articles may contain more miracle stone shards like the one he gave me, but they'd only be wasted in my hands. St. Urbain can hear the voice of God through them.
And the most wettest line in a game ever. I mean, when I first heard this, I thought I had to get a paddle boat because I swear there was a river forming in that area. This is after you beat the Storm King.
Oh, I can hardly believe it. The fact that I am helping to save the world. Oh, St. Urbain, Mbassa.
She has a quivering in her voice when mentioning Urbain in this last line about him. She doesn't really ever speak of God, but always of Urbain. And if she does speak of God, she always speaks of Urbain as well. So who knows? After the game, maybe they got together or decided to work together along with the other Acolyte of God and just never really moved past the point that she's just going to be hurting for him for the rest of her life. And they're going to have to get more boats. Thank you all for watching this far. It means a lot to me. If you liked the video, please give it a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you would like to hear more and what you would like to hear next. Till next time, bye.